All right. Okay. As I mentioned again, I want to stress again about safety. I was in Sweden, and I went to the test lab. And the test lab basically is a torture chamber for their furniture, okay? So the billies and the clip-ons and all that, they are being stomped on, they're being punched day in, like day out, 24/7, okay? So these cabinets are open and close, and this, to mimic the way in which we use the furniture. So that's the extent of their safety testing. But the problem is when you hack an item, what they would say in the electrical goods, you basically void your warranty, okay? So because you have already changed the structure, you have already done something that could compromise the integrity of that furniture piece of goods. So do be very careful what you do, and do not put yourself in danger or anyone who's using the hack in danger as well. Lastly, do Malaysians hack? Yes? No? Any one of you here has hacked something? Not yet, right? Okay, after today, please go to IKEA and buy something and start hacking. Malaysians hack, yes, they do. Over the last 8 years, I think I have received maybe 20 to 30 hacks from Malaysia. Not many compared to other countries. Even Singapore has more. But yes, Malaysian hacks do hack, and I think the trend for DIY is growing. So I do foresee more and more Malaysians rolling up their sleeves and pulling out the screws. So here, this is the first ever hack that I received from Malaysia by this guy called Tak Long. What he did was he took this bamboo dish. This is something that you use to put your fruits, and he turned it into a very zen-looking wall clock. Okay, and here is the Billy by Faisal. Very different treatment, I would say, and they cut into two, just the pokes like that, and then he's as a sideboard. And also another one by Keith from Malaysia, and what he did was to have a sitting and standing desk combo, so you can actually stand to work here and sit when you're tired. Okay. So this is from the Expedite range. The Expedite range is no longer available, but I think you can do the same with the Kallax. This one I think the ladies will love. Okay. Very glamorous looking dressing vanity table with a stave mirror and also some lights. This is done by the husband for the wife, one of those lucky women. And this one I really love. Okay, this is a high-angle wall unit, and this is actually two different shelves. It's called the Leberg shelf. Unfortunately, no longer available in Malaysia. So what happens is this is one shelf, and this is another one, but she flipped this on its head. Okay, so these two are joined together, so it gives this very interesting dimension to the wall unit. Very industrial, in trend. Okay, so these are just a sampling of what Malaysians have done, and I look forward to seeing what you guys can come up with. So I've come to the end of my presentation, and if you need more information, this is where you can find us. And that's all. I thank you very much for joining me. I hope that you will also send me your hacks, and I look forward to receiving your ideas. I'll pass the time back to Selina.
Thank you, Jules, for the interesting sharing. I think some of us here can't wait to get our hands on some IKEA products and start hacking away. Next, we will move on to the Q&A session. May I invite Lee Mei Lee, the Star's journalist, Craftypedia columnist, and author of Hello Kitty Crochet to join Jules on stage for this session. Mei Lee, over to you.
Hello, hi everyone. Thank you so much for coming today. I would like to extend a warm welcome to Jules and her friends as well who have come all the way here to share with us an interesting session. I want to share a bit that the first time I ever met Jules was actually about 2 weeks ago when I had to interview her for a story that came out actually yesterday in the feature section Star 2. And one of the first questions I asked her was, can you show us some of the hacking projects that you've done on your own? And her answer was that, oh, actually, I'm more of a curator blogger, and I actually don't do a lot of hacking on my own. So my question is, when you receive all these submissions from people all around the world, all these DIY enthusiasts, does it not make you want to go out and do like your own hacking?
Of course, all the time. You know, I'm always, when I get the hacks and then I look at it and say, oh gosh, I really should do this. You know, this would be so great for my table or my something. You know, and it's always on my to-do list. And I actually have stuff in my storeroom that I bought and then I want to do, but it's still waiting for me to find the time to do it.
Okay. So this brings me to my next question. Is like IKEA hacking for everyone? Do you need a lot of time to be able to actually sit down to come up with your own ideas? Or do you think that, I mean, there are also like 10-minute projects? What is yours?
Of course, there are some quick and easy ones, which does not will not be too time consuming. There are also those that are really extensive that needs a lot of pre-planning, like just now I was mentioning the play table and all those Lego tables. I think those you can do probably in an afternoon, a Sunday afternoon. You can complete that already. Yeah.
Okay.
So IKEA hacking is for everyone, I believe, because there's a range of things that you can do. So some can be very easy, which is just sticking things together, putting them, assembling them in a different way. And of course, there's also the more difficult hacks, you know, that will need a lot of time and skills.
Okay, based on your experience curating all these hacks that you've actually received, do you get a lot more ideas from the men or the women? Is it something for the guys to do, or can women try as well?
Actually, I receive a fair share from men and women.
Okay.
So it's not a just for men. Okay? So we just need you to do the heavy lifting, that's all. No?
Okay.
But there are women who hack as well, just as well as men, and men who does really good hacks too. So there's not really a gender bias as in whether it's for men or women. And yeah, or even age groups. There are young people who have hacked and not so young people who have hacked too.
I think earlier you shared a little about a bit of advice on what to do if you want to actually attempt to do your own hacking. What would be a good first project to start to see if you really have the hacking in you?
I think one of the easiest to start with is paint. To paint something, because it's relatively easy. Let's say you buy a Billy bookcase and you don't like the white or something, and you can actually change it into a different color or add texture or stripes or some design to it. So that is a good way to start and see whether you actually like it. Yeah.
Okay. And I wanted to touch a little bit about on safety issues. Earlier you mentioned that try not to do the projects that may be a bit dangerous. So I was just wondering if you are just someone who's very new to DIYing and maybe you're really young as well. I mean, how safe is it to actually do your own hacking, or like the people who submit their hacks? Like earlier, there was the Billy bookcase, floor to ceiling project. How can they ensure that actually that's okay to be put that way? Do they need to consult an expert?
Of course, if a project is very extensive, like the library, the Billy Library, I believe yes, you would need some advice, especially if you are if you are a newbie, So yes, I think it's always good to seek the advice of someone who's experienced. So of course, the paint job is something that's easy to start. You probably don't need a lot of guidance. But when it's something you have to hang up on the wall, or you have to, make sure it's secure, please do seek expert advice. The right screws, the right brackets, to be able to stand the kind of weight. So it's. I would err on the side of caution. Do check with people whether it's someone at the hardware store, your neighbor who is good at these things, who can give you proper advice. Yeah.
And I also noticed that after visiting your website, IKEAhackers.net, there is actually a section called Hackers Help.
Yes.
And does it mean that if I'm a beginner and I have an inkling of an idea, but I'm not sure whether it'll work, can I actually go to your site and post a question there, and then will I get good feedback from there?
Yes, you can. You may send in the question. Of course, the answers will depend on the response from the readers, whether they are able to advise as well. Yeah.
Right now, I'd like to just open the floor up for any questions. Maybe you want to share an idea that you have, and you want Jules to comment on whether she thinks it's a good idea or not. Anyone, or you have something personal to ask her about, maybe the threatened lawsuit that she mentioned earlier about IKEA.
Hi, I'm Dominic. I've been following your sites for some time. Great website. I understand it's been featured as many websites. Would we see more, for example, participation from IKEA supporting these kind of hacking communities, or what do you expect to see forward? Thanks.
Okay. Thanks, Chongling. Okay, the trademark dispute. Well, they withdraw their cease and desist, so I'm not going to be sued. Okay, and basically, at this point in time, they are allowing me to continue with my site. We have come to a point where we agree that they let me use their trademark on my site. So from my discussions with them, they do see opportunity for collaboration between my site as well as their designers, and I hope that it will truly happen, because sometimes, at discussions, then ideas are being thrown forth, but whether they actually have the time to carry forth the collaboration is another point. Yeah. So, but definitely there is the possibility of that happening. Yeah. Does that answer your question? Yes, they actually did mention that, maybe they can actually get their designers to hack some things, and then people can actually decide whether it's a good hack, and it could be a limited edition production. So that was one of the ideas that was thrown out, and also was another idea that was we discussed what maybe the people can send in their hacks, and then if IKEA find one that is suitable, maybe it could actually be produced. So those were some of the ideas that we discussed. But as I said, whether it actually happens I'm still waiting. Okay. Yes.